So we get kicked off for today. So our first speaker is Dr. Elana Gazal. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, great. Yeah, with my name too. It's I get a lot of mispronunciations of it. So to everybody out there. Dr. Elana, she's head of pharmaceutical research at Noraderm currently, leading the chemistry and formulation team. She previously worked as application support at Waters. Before that, she worked in developing monocycline foam as formulation project leader at Formix, and also worked at Beckman Coulter in Minnesota as an assay developer and team leader, focusing on prenatal markers. So she's an organic chemist by training and highly experienced in formulation development and analytical chemistry. So with that, you could take it away. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Finnett, for a wonderful introduction. And let me see if I can share my screen. And everything will work well, hopefully. Okay, so the talk that I am about to give today is Giving New Life to Old Drugs by the 505(b)(2) route. And this is a disclaimer. Okay, so Noraderm's mission is to reduce the disease burden and to improve the quality of life of patients and their families, addressing unmet medical needs with innovative drug-device combination therapies. Noraderm is located in Rehovot, which is 30 kilometers south of Tel Aviv, in Israel. We are more than 130 employees, from which 60% are women and more than 90% are with academic degrees. Noraderm today is a phase 3 clinical stage pharmaceutical company, running 2 clinical trials in centers worldwide and with intellectual property of more than 70 granted patents. Noraderm focuses on product candidates which are designed to overcome major deficiencies in the current treatments and achieve enhanced clinical efficacy through continuous controlled administration. Noraderm utilizes unique drug and device combination, enabling patient-focused products. Our product candidates are based on patented reformulations of leading approved drugs, opening a path for an accelerated, lower-risk regulatory submission via the 505(b)(2), which is shortening the time to the market and promising new IP. Noraderm was founded in 2003 as an incubator company, developing the next generation treatments for central nervous system, CNS disorders. We have completed phase 1 in 2012 and phase 2B in 2019. Noraderm was publicly offered in 2014 and in 2016 and was traded in the NASDAQ until it was acquired by MTPC, Mitsubishi Tanabe Group, in 2017. So Noraderm was acquired by Mitsubishi Tanabe Pharma Corporation for $1.1 billion. Oded Lieberman, which you can see in the picture, was our former CEO, and he has completed what was designated as the largest bio-exit in Israel. MTPC thrives to maximize the global innovative pipeline, focusing on CNS, and Noraderm was the perfect fit. So, Mitsubishi Tanabe Pharma Corporation is an innovation-driven pharmaceutical company. It is more than 300 years old. It's the second oldest pharmaceutical company in the world after Merck and the oldest corporation in Japan. Today, it is a global company with the headquarters located in Osaka, with over 7,000 employees worldwide and a revenue of more than 500 billion yen, which is $4.7 billion. MTPC, being the center of excellence, was acquired in 2019 by MCHC, Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings. The MCHC is a large corporate with more than 70,000 employees and a revenue of 3,580 billion yen, which is $33 billion. MCHC holds 4 centers: Mitsubishi Chemical Corporation, which is focusing on industrial materials and performance products; MTPC, which we, Noraderm, is part of, focusing on pharmaceutical products; Life Science Institute, which is looking into the drug discovery solutions and next-gen healthcare, and Taiyo Nippon, which is a provider for industrial gas. MCHC thrives to enter new markets opportunities, so the MTPC acquisition was another step of accelerating innovation cycle. MTPC focuses on 4 domains: CNS, autoimmune and inflammatory, vaccines, and diabetes. Examples to known drugs are Radicava, Edaravone, which is an FDA-approved treatment for ALS, shown to slow the loss of physical function and improve the patient quality of life. Simponi, which is a subcutaneous injection of the anti-human TNF-alpha monoclonal antibody for the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis. Gilenya, which is a sphingosine 1-phosphate receptor modulator. This is the first oral treatment for multiple sclerosis. Remicade is an anti-inflammatory medicine. It is usually used when other medicines or treatment have failed in adults which are suffering from rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's, colitis, and psoriasis. And this is only part of the list. So in the field of CNS, Noraderm is positioned as the R&D center of innovation with the new treatment for Parkinson patients, NDO-612. So in order to function, the brain needs steady levels of dopamine. Parkinson's disease occurs when the brain cells that make the dopamine stop working or die. Parkinson's, being a movement disorder, can cause tremor, stiffness, and balance problems. However, there are other symptoms such as constipation, depression, dementia. These are also observed. Parkinson's is a lifelong and progressive disease, which means that symptoms slowly worsen over time. Levodopa is the precursor of dopamine. It is considered the gold standard treatment for Parkinson's disease. Oral levodopa has a short half-life, which causes plasma levels to be unsteady. Moreover, long-term levodopa treatment narrows the therapeutic window and causes fluctuations between the dyskinesia in the peaks and off time at the end of each cycle, which eliminates the movement ability. This is where Noraderm's technology overcomes the current deficiencies and achieved enhanced clinical efficacy. As indicated, levodopa exists as an oral solid form, administered throughout the GI tract as a suspension, or directly into the duodenum via a tube which is connected constantly to an external pump. So it's either oral or a suspension which is being delivered through an external pump. No alternative routes of the administration were available to provide a better continuity, and all previous attempts to formulate levodopa into liquid forms have failed. Noraderm developed NDO-612, a unique liquid formulation able to increase the solubility and the concentration of levodopa and carbidopa. It is administered continuously into the subcutaneous tissue. The advantages of the subcut are to improve absorption by rapid onset or continuous action. The doses and the volumes are more flexible. The GI and first pass can be avoided, and side effects are usually reduced. NDO-612 has the potential to maintain steady therapeutic levodopa plasma concentration that improve motor fluctuations. This means that it reduces the patient off and on time without increasing the troublesome dyskinesia. NDO-612 levodopa carbidopa was developed in Noraderm via the 505(b)(2) regulatory path. So before we continue, let us clarify what is the 505(b)(2) drug development via the 505(b)(1) pathway is typically used for novel drugs that have not been previously approved. The 505(b)(1) drug development requires the sponsor to conduct all studies needed to demonstrate the safety and efficacy of the drug. A 505(b)(2) program must demonstrate safety and efficacy to the same standard as the 505(b)(1) program. However, existing data from the studies not conducted by the sponsor may be used to meet some or even all of the safety and efficacy requirements. The 505J ANDA, this is the abbreviated or generic. So, approval requires the sponsor to demonstrate bioequivalence to the innovator drug in lieu of replicating efficacy and safety studies. Generics are delayed from gaining market approval until the patent and the marketing exclusivity from the innovator product have expired. The patents have been successfully challenged, or the application holder, the innovator product, agrees to waive the exclusivity for the generic applicant. So what changes can be defined for submitting the 505(b)(2)? For example, dosage form. From oral tablet, we change to, for example, transdermal patch. The route of administration changes from IV to oral or vice versa. Okay? So most new chemical entities are approved via the 505(b)(1) pathway and are assigned 5 years of marketing exclusivity if clinical studies were performed. This means that the generic application for the product cannot be filed until the end of the 5th year, or the end of the 4th year if a certification of a patent or invalidity or non-infringement is submitted. Products approved via the 505(b)(2) pathway, however, may be assigned 3, 5, or 7 years of marketing exclusivity depending on the regulatory situation. If we assume that the 505(b)(2) approved product is a new chemical entity and is therefore assigned 5 years of marketing exclusivity, then the theoretical timeline for the potential generic competition is the same as for the 505(b)(1) approved product, which is 5 years. In reality, current ANDA review times exceed 3 years, so most products with 5 years of exclusivity are on the market for 6 to 8 years before the arrival of a generic competition. By the way, a rare disease or condition, orphan designation, may provide 7 years of exclusivity. So this usually means that the 505(b)(2) drug product can be developed with less risk, less time, and less cost if it's done correctly than the 505(b)(1) product. The sponsor is allowed to rely, at least in part, on the FDA's findings on safety and effectiveness for a previously approved drug, also known as the reference drug. The sponsor can also rely on published literature if it has not been obtained as a right of reference to the raw data. It will also allow 3, 5, or 7 years of market exclusivity, which protects from market competition with similar products with similar indications. However, the sponsor must still provide any additional preclinical or clinical data which is necessary to ensure that differences from the reference drug do not compromise any safety or effectiveness. Another drawback could be that the exclusivity of the parent drug may delay the filing. So Noraderm is focused on creating the value in the space between generic and NCEs via the 505(b)(2) route. In recent years, the drug development world places effort in giving new life to all drugs to reduce time, cost, and risk, and to increase the chances of developing new therapies for the benefit of the patients. This is Noraderm's value, giving new life to all drugs, even shelved or abandoned, using advanced reformulation capabilities as well as drug-device combination while posing a high leverage to competitors. These projects provide Noraderm with robust IP, faster development path, and lower risk. We are reaching these values by utilizing new concepts and global trends such as digital health and artificial intelligence. Patient-centric approaches and precision medicine are used to create value-based care. Noraderm's Innovation Center has clear requirements for the project selected. Projects must demonstrate improved bioavailability, safety, and efficacy. Formulations are innovative and combined with the applicable device, and new product architecture is being evaluated. We have brainstorming meetings that are held side by side with the scientific advisory boards focusing on the company goals. Global tools are being incorporated for data mining and competitive intelligence. Patient advocacy groups play a key role in understanding patient needs and input. Project screening is a well-established concept in Noraderm, transferring each project via a thorough review in order to align with company goals, receiving departmental confirmation through scoring, evaluation, and go-no-go milestones, prior to progressing the project to the next stage. Ongoing feedback is being provided by the parent company to confirm the vision of parent-daughter companies is being aligned. A key element in the project selection and development is the assessment of unmet needs. We have embraced the strategy change from one-size-fits-all to a tailored product approach, placing patients in the center of the development. Noraderm's market approach is a patient-centric holistic view, which means that in every step of the development, we estimate and reach out to patient needs. The World Health Organization described health as a state of completely physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just the absence of a disease. This quote assists us to understand that in order to cure patients, we first have to understand patients' journey and the disease pathway. So what are patients' expectations from new treatment? First is evidence-based treatment. Patients today search the web. They study the data. They would like to see proper access to treatment, maintain a normal lifestyle, and assure low-cost treatment. So by placing the patients in the center of development, we can achieve a strong branded drug, patient compliance, products with added value, and reimbursement from the payer side. So rather than screening molecules, we focus on screening patient needs. So where do we start? Indication and literature overview. We need to understand the disease clinical course. This is the first step in understanding the patient need. Second, market reports, market size, growth potential, competitive forces, and the disease landscape are being investigated. We learn from patient advocacy groups and participate in patient forums. We ask ourselves, can we answer their needs? We're also constantly evaluating our products versus the competitors. We validate the data by using the patients and the KOL services. We receive confirmation that our development path is correct. An example of patient engagements are the human factor studies that allow us to estimate the right drug-device combination. Parkinson's patients are engaged in testing the devices. The study goals were to perform the general usability assessment and to identify the non-anticipated issue. This allows us to create mitigations early on. April was Parkinson's Awareness Month, and the Parkinson Concierge, which this is the website, speaks to what it is like living with Parkinson's 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Parkinson is known for motor fluctuations and tremor, but there are other symptoms that we often tend to forget. There is weight loss or weight gain, dry mouth, pain, muscle cramps, memory issues, trouble in eating and chewing, dizziness, loss of smell, swelling, depression, and anxiety. When we speak in those forums with Parkinson patients, we often hear the following. It is draining to live with Parkinson. It's a constant battle. You cannot plan your next day. It's like living with something which controls you. It's always pushing the boundaries and testing you. So listening to patients is part of the patient-centric approach and a valuable tool during our development. Utilizing the concept of patient-centric strategy can create value to all stakeholders. It has become a key element in the drug development cycle of many pharmaceutical companies. It is defined as the process of developing a service or a solution around the patient by placing patients in the center of the business activity. and considering how decisions about business will affect the patient. Yet, it should be noted that we target not only the patients, but also the HCPs, the healthcare providers, the payers, and the government. And let's not forget the pharmaceutical companies. This is also a key player. During the development course, we managed to reveal unmet needs. Parkinson patients are a third-age population, so patients may experience motor fluctuations during the drug administration period. Patients use needles on a daily basis, which can cause them injuries or pain. Elderly patients in general experience difficulty using modern technologies. So we initiated the engagement in human factor studies to estimate the right drug-device combination. Parkinson patients were engaged in testing the devices. The study goals were to perform general usability assessments and identify non-anticipated issues. This allowed us to create mitigations early on and to understand our patients. The study is designed to work with the intended users, which perform the required tasks and test the conditions that are representing the actual use. So patients will receive the drugs, they will receive the pumps, and they will go throughout the entire procedure. It should be noted that these studies can be conducted in any step of the development process. If you start them as early as possible, you gain additional understanding on the issues with your drug and the device that accompanies it. So, utilizing its innovative experience in drug reformulation and device combination, side by side with aspiring concepts such as patient-centric approach and market-focused development, Noraderm demonstrates a wide array of dynamic capabilities, which enabling it to be MTPC's, our parent company, center of innovation, and provide Parkinson patients with their next treatment. With that, I would like to thank you for allowing me to share with you our strategy, and I hope that I've provided you with some insights on how to combine essential tools available to shorten the time to market, but while using the 505(b)(2) route. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for a great talk. If we have any questions, feel free to write them in the text box. Otherwise, I have a couple questions. Just wait a second, see if anyone come in. Yeah, so I was more wondering about you mentioned some of these kind of precision medicine, so you could reapply a previously approved drug to, say, a new indication or something. You mentioned some kind of efforts in that. Could you elaborate a little more on that? Or is there an effort to, ID, say, generic drugs for new indications, or ID, recently approved drugs for other indications via a more precision, type of approach?
So what we usually do, we start in screening the markets for drugs that were already approved. And we try to look into how we can change the administration route and to adapt the formulation for that administration route. We are focusing in the subcutaneous market. So there are a lot of oral drugs or IV drugs that are being administered. And by reformulating them into the subcutaneous route using a pump, we can basically create a new market. And this allows us to do it via the 505(b)(2) route. And there are a lot of drugs that are no longer used, unfortunately. But and this is because they have issues in the way that they are being used. They have a lot of side effects. They are less soluble. They don't have the required bioavailability. So if we take that drug and we reformulate it and we change the route of administration, we can have a successful target.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elana. And yes, she is joining us all the way from Israel virtually. Hopefully one day we can have a summit over there as well.
Absolutely. Everybody is welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Dr.
Thank you.
We will be shifting gears now to our next presenter, Dr. Anili. So we will all head over now to her room. She will be speaking about ocular distribution.